You could almost hear the collective raising of eyebrows when Activision announced their seminal skateboarding franchise was to be released on Nintendo's family of handhelds. As a game so heavily reliant on 3 dimensions, surely would be too much of an ask to pull off. You'd be sort of correct, as by common consensus, the Game Boy Color port of the first Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game was really rough around the edges, and in the middle bits, come to think of it. It was top-down, which drastically cut the draw distance as well as any real sense of height. Things improved with the second one, in fairness. In fact, the first 3 games made it to the Color. However, the way to play this portably is probably this Game Boy Advance one, which takes a more isometric view. It's still a fixed camera angle, which will throw some off at first if you're expecting a behind-the-border aspect like normal. While the GBA does have limited 3D capacity, there's virtually no way the same viewpoint as the home console versions would have worked. It'd have been a disaster. No, the approach taken here is definitely the way to go, because the frame rate is buttery smooth. The sense of perspective you get from the pre-rendered levels never really hampers you that much. It's usually pretty obvious what's skatable and what are buildings, for example, and there aren't many cases where your border will be obscured behind foreground objects. You might find it tricky to line up your trajectories at first, but it's something you can easily get used to, and any collectible objects have a very generous hitbox, so simply coming close is usually enough to snag it. It's certainly no more tricky than the other versions. The majority of the time you'll be in the career mode. You'll at first select your skater who has base stats, and can train them up by fulfilling level objectives. You'll only have access to 1 arena at first, but you can unlock new ones also by doing the things the level directs you to. There'll be something like 10 or so goals per stage, but of course you don't have to hit them all in one run. You get 2 minutes to basically do whatever you want on a level, and any goals you manage to accomplish get scratched off and you'll earn some cash. These are varied. There are 3 score benchmarks to hit with progressively higher point totals, so you can spend your run trying to land the biggest tricks and combos. Or there'll be collectibles. You have to find the letters that make up skate on each level, plus there are 5 level-specific objects to find, usually in places where you'll have to pull off some stunt to get to. There'll also be a hidden videotape somewhere. On the console versions, these unlocked FMVs of skating. You might have to smash 5 things like barrels or fire alarms. Sometimes these will be on the ground for you to run into, but other times you might have to grind or wall ride to get them. There'll also be some arena-specific ones that require you to do certain tricks in certain spots, such as a specific grind along this or that rail, or clear X number of scenery bits, that sort of thing. The money you get for fulfilling these goals, combined with any cash lying around the levels that you collect, can be spent on new, better boards or cashed in on skill points. There are a bunch of different areas here, such as speed, ollie height, ability to cleanly land, grinding balance, and so on. They all make the game a little easier to play, but the levels are progressively more challenging with harder level goals and higher points totals to hit. Your skater moves automatically, but you can slow them down by pressing down. B performs an ollie. The longer you hold it, the higher the ollie, and also holding B makes your rider crouch and go faster. A will perform a grind if you're near a lip or a rail, L does some flip tricks, and R does some grab tricks. Combining these with directional buttons will perform several different tricks, all of which are customizable on the main menu screen. You can combo moves together by grinding, or similarly by manualing, by pressing up then down while on a normal surface. This is the only real way to hit some of those big score targets, as each move you chain together not only gets its own score, but increases the trick multiplier. So for instance, 10 moves in one combo will be worth 10 times what they would be if you did them all individually. Grinding and manualing brings up this balance bar, which you have to keep in the center part by pressing left, right, or up, down, respectively. The amount this bar fluctuates is reduced by improving your balance stat, so that might be a useful one to improve early on. As well as the timed career runs, you can also play any unlocked stage casually in the free skate option. This is useful to knock off what are called gaps. You might have seen a blue phrase pop up where the moves usually do on the bottom of the screen. These are special jumps, grinds, and so on that each level has, and you have a checklist to perform them all. It might be something like hitting a kickflip across a particular jump, doing a nose grind on this or that rail, successfully clearing the air between 2 quarter pipes, that sort of thing, and add that little bit more longevity to the game. Plus, you'll be able to take each skater through the career mode. You're not just limited to one, and they all have their own stats to take care of. So yeah, I admit I was skeptical myself that this would work, but it really does. It's actually phenomenally addictive, just like the PlayStation versions were. There's so much stuff to do, some of which is easy and some of which is really tricky, in a really good balance. The graphics, just work. They look very impressive actually, respective of the console, and the feeling of speed is just how you want it. Musically, yeah, you've not got the licensed tracks, but then I can't imagine pop-punk bangers would have quite the same impact coming through a GBA speaker. The songs we're given are just as fast-paced and heavy though, and make for a suitable alternative. A North American launch title that would probably have blown players away back then. Still does now, a little bit.